This is a News 6 Plus takeover. Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate.
Hey, welcome back. We've got a saucy edition of Florida's Fourth Estate for you today. I think you could call it Floridians behaving badly. And yes, we're Floridians because we're hitting each other, apparently. And we are hideous at times, yes. Glad to have you with us, though. We've got a great guest as well who's drawn the attention from maybe the most famous man in the world right now, Elon Musk. We got a great one for you. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Florida's Fourth Estate. We do have a jam-packed show, so we're going to get right to it with some of the headlines from this week. And the headline that just really made me so upset, Matt, and I know you saw this too.
Yeah.
You know, parents have lost their minds at their kids' games these days. And normally you think of like soccer moms or soccer dads, but this was a high school baseball game where an ump was sucker punched. Now, keep in mind, these people volunteer for these games. I mean, they do it because of the love of the game. But we want to show you, this happened in just outside of Osceola County in Kissimmee.
Oh,
Can't even watch that video.
I'm standing over this guy like he's something.
The guy who did the sucker punching is a 41-year-old man. The guy on the ground shaking right now is a 63-year-old veteran.
Right.
He punched like that.
He does this because he loves the game. They don't get paid much to be umpires.
Yeah. And and the sheriff in Osceola County was so upset because when they came and obviously arrested this guy, it was like, oh, I'm not allowed to defend my kid. That is not defending your kid, sir. I am sorry. And it was just, every time I see that, I get angry because there is never a need. What lesson are you teaching your child at this point? That's poor sportsmanship. And apparently this guy has done something similar before, or he has been really ramping up the attitude before. And this time it just really got out of control. And when people saw that, they obviously helped the 63-year-old umpire. It just breaks your heart to see that. He's going to be okay. And that the guy who did the sucker punching he's arrested.
Yeah, I think the part that bugged me the most, but there's video of him being walked in handcuffs, the sucker punch guy.
Yeah,
he's smiling ear to ear, laughing. I mean, what you just did was you're accused of hitting this 63-year-old veteran. And look, I'm more defensive over my kids than I should be. It could get me arrested one day. But to go and sucker punch somebody over a kid's baseball game, I mean, he claims that the ump was, I don't know, reading his kid the riot act or yelling at his kid or something. I guess it's the way they described it, authorities, was that the kid was making some sort of, disturbance in the stands, and the ump was like, hey, cut it out. The guy walks around and just cold cocks him right in the face, knocks him out. I mean, you could kill a 63-year-old man like that.
You could kill anyone like that if they fall and hit their head the wrong way. And what happened to having a teachable moment, letting your child know, okay, maybe if you are doing that, you probably shouldn't, but this is absolutely not the way to handle this situation. So thank goodness that umpire is going to be okay. And I hope this is just a lesson for some of the parents and just the ugly attitudes that you see out on the fields these days. It's awful.
Yeah, people are crazy. You got to watch out for it. Exhibit B. Are you ready for this one?
I'm not, but I know what it is.
A couple in Lake County, they were going for a walk in their neighborhood. It's a golf neighborhood, and they decided they were going to walk on the cart path. That's where the golf carts obviously drive on the golf course to get around. And that's when they say one of the golfers started cussing at him, yelling at him, get off that cart path right now. That turns into an altercation between the walker and the golfer. And let me show you just some video of this guy, the beating he took from the golfer with the golf club.
This is the day after.
This is I think it's maybe a few days after, actually. He had 3 broken ribs. His ear was nearly torn off, 40 stitches. And here's the golfer that deputies showed up and arrested. In this video, you can see he's just kind of stunned that he's being arrested. I'm not sure of his side of the story. We've tried going to his dentist office because he is a dentist in that area. But here's what the guy who says he's the victim is saying about that.
My wife was there. She's yelling, stop, stop, let's get away from him. He lunges at me. This happened twice, like with the golf club. I'm like, stop it. You can't hit me, when we're walking away. I never knew it. She just told me this today. I had the same thought. She said, this is how I'm going to lose him.
Things really seem to be escalating quickly for some reason these days. Whether you're on a golf course, you're on a baseball diamond, people just making bad decisions.
Mercury's in retrograde. I don't know. I have no idea.
Happening?
But people, it's like and the guy was saying, he said, as soon as we recognized that he wanted to stop, he's like, oh, sorry. Okay. And then apparently the guy who is the dentist was with his, again,
son,
these lessons that we're teaching these kids. He was with his son and it's like, watch this kid. Dad's going to handle this. I don't know what you are thinking you're proving to anyone there, but that to me seems like there's more than just him being upset about that particular moment. There's something else.
And there was a point. This guy says he was first hit in the leg with the golf club. He threw a water bottle at the guy, and then the beating ensued. So, obviously, we're hearing one side of the story. That guy was arrested for battery. And it's just.
Have you seen the damage a golf club can do? He could have killed this guy.
Yeah, it's very true.
Awful. It's awful.
Okay, and so let's take you out of the sports. This is no longer a sports show. And we're going to take you to
dangerous.
Crazy chase. This thing went on for 15 miles. Apparently, this guy got up to 150 miles an hour. On top of that, while the police are chasing him, he blows through a school zone, which is just terrifying to think of how bad that could happen. Hit several patrol cars at the time. Let me show you some of this video when they caught up to him. It's never going to be good. You very rarely get away in a police chase. They were going to pull this guy over for window tint. That was what he was getting pulled over for. And apparently he had maybe something to hide. Maybe there were some warrants out or something like that because he did not want to get caught going 150 at times. And people are terrified at the fact of what could have happened in this school zone. This guy's trying to get away, and he was just going so fast, blowing through a red light. Another terrifying situation in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I don't care how fast you think you can go in your own car. I guarantee you the cops can go faster.
That police helicopter, once the helicopter's in the sky, you might as well just give up because you ain't winning.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
That is the last, hopefully we will hear from that guy, because that is a dangerous situation. Say, for example, someone just crossing the street at a regular pace, in or out of a crosswalk, or a child were in that area.
Yeah, in the school zone, that's where it happens.
That's the end of the story. That's the end of the story right there, all for a window tint or whatever else he was possibly trying to hide. But, thank goodness that he's caught, and hopefully will not be a problem on the streets again.
Ever again.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to stay with our theme of problems on the street. This one happened in Duval County. I think it was I-10.
Duval.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it because I did it for a story once, and people are like, "Yeah, you stink at it." So I'm not going to do it. But about 1 million bees on a truck. Well, they got loose because a big rig rammed this truck, and those you can see it.
Look at the video.
You can see them swarming there. But the thing is, they weren't trying to sting anyone. They were trying to get back to their hive. And these are the important bees we always talk about that we really, really need to keep our food supply going. It's just one of those situations that if you come across it on the road, you might not know what to do. But the thing to do is, if the road is still open, just keep moving and mind your beeswax.
I knew. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the terrible bee pun.
I just made it up right there.
And I cannot believe you actually did it. I'm breaking out in hives now because of what you did.
Wow.
Hey, by the way, bees, a lot of money. This is what I learned in this story. $40,000 in bees and hives were killed.
That is, like, if you're not afraid to get stung, or if you're not allergic to bee stings, this is a great side hustle. And a lot of people do it, just because we need it. So if you're not afraid of getting stung, which I am, so this is never going to work for me. But if you have ever had some fresh honey with a comb,
oh baby, yeah,
there's nothing.
It's
else
the best.
Like
it is.
Yeah,
so
it's great. It's
good.
Great.
And yeah, when you buy a little chunk of it from like Whole Foods or something, it's insanely expensive. It's like $20 or something.
Well, that's
But that's the way it goes. All right, so we have gotten through our headlines, and now it's time to introduce you to a young man who made a Twitter account all about Elon Musk. Elon Musk has contacted him trying to get this account of this UCF student shut down. The kid's fighting the good fight. We're going to talk to him right after the break.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Florida's Fourth Estate. You know, what I love about this show, Matt, is that we get to meet some of the most interesting people, and many of them are based in Florida, and they're known around the world. Our guest today made headlines when probably you would call him a kid at the time, basically,
He's compared
to us.
There's a young man. His name is Jack Sweeney. He's a UCF student. He has a very famous, world-renowned Twitter handle that is Elon Musk's jet. It tracks Elon's jet. He does this for a bunch. He does it for Russian oligarchs and Mark Zuckerberg and all that. And he's made national headlines because he has used publicly available data to track the jets of billionaires, most notably Elon Musk. And it all started because Jack's dad is in the airline industry. Jack, first off, I want to say welcome. You're just across town from us. Thanks for joining us for Florida's Fourth Estate. Oh, yeah, it is totally our pleasure. Can you just explain to us how you got into this? Because from what I was reading about you, you used to track planes to see if your dad was going to be getting home on time, right?
Yeah. I mean, so we'd pick him up at the airport. He works out of state. He comes back like every week. And so like I knew about the flight tracking apps. And I would just learn a little bit more and more. And then I had an interest in Elon Musk and where he was, what he was doing. And then I figured that he had a private jet and that I could track it myself, but nobody was really doing it. So I started doing it during my free time during COVID and figured out how to do it.
Yeah, so you figured out how to do it, right? And it's information that we can all have access to. But when you started doing it and then you realized how much attention it was getting, tell me what the thought process was when you realized like, oh, he doesn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, even before Elon like took interest in it, surprisingly, it was all like Tesla and Elon fans that loved, following it. And then Elon reached out to me and he didn't really like it. But yeah, it was.
What did he say to you when he reached out to you? What did he like take it down, kid, or what? Like, give us an idea of what he said, what that conversation was like.
So he hit me up in the Twitter DMs, and it was like 1 a.m. here in Florida time. He was like, "Hey, can you take this down?" And then he was asking how it worked. He didn't have really any idea how it worked, and I was like, I've put a lot of work into this, and to just take it down, I didn't really want to. And the discussion probably went on for a month, like a couple messages a week.
Yeah, and he offered you, it sounds like, about $5,000. And this is my favorite part of the whole story because you're like, I'll tell you what, I'll do it for 50. And I've heard you get kind of some backlash on this for online, like people being like, oh no, he's being greedy or whatever. I love that the savviness of being like, you know what, I feel like this is worth something to you. I'll stop doing it using this publicly available information for 50 grand or a Tesla and an internship with you. But that didn't work. I kind of thought a guy like Elon would maybe see your ingenuity and think, yeah, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the guy, but like, I'm not going to stop just because he's my favorite fan, and it means something to me. And really in my lifetime, I'm going to have more than, $5,000, I'm sure. And that seems like relatively what I could get out of it could be more than that.
Yeah, I can guarantee you're going to get more than $5,000 in your lifetime. I'd bet my next paycheck on it. So it's surprising to hear you say that. I don't think I've read this. Like he didn't understand quite how what you were doing worked, right? And here's a guy who sends rockets up to the ISS and lands the booster, back on drone ships. Were you surprised by that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's flown jets before. He definitely knows his plane has a tail number, but he didn't know that like it was so trackable. He was like, air traffic control is so primitive, He's like, it's always the same code you use to track it. And then he was asking me what he should do, like how to prevent people from tracking him. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but he is like notorious, like being against the FAA. So I'm sure this is like even more of that, where he is not very much of a fan of the FAA for their space rules and space launch rules. Like
Yeah,
that.
he has had some issues with them over that and some other things. So I'm curious, we all watched Elon Musk buy Twitter for $44 billion in the name of free speech. He said,
Yeah.
I'm buying this platform because I'm tired of people's voices being restricted by the powerful. I'm unleashing this to everybody. But the very first free speech that impacts him, which is you, using that publicly available data, he shuts you down. Were you
Yeah.
surprised by that? They say never meet your heroes. Are you disappointed?
Oh yeah, it's definitely different because like he literally put out a tweet out to the hundreds of millions of followers that he has that was like, my commitment to free speech extends even to not banning the plane tracking or the account tracking my plane, even though that's a direct personal safety risk. Like that's the complete opposite of what he eventually did. He wiped all of my accounts out.
Do you feel bad a little bit about this? Because Elon Musk is saying this has impacted his life. He claims, now we all heard this story about how one of his kids was in a car, somebody jumped on top of the hood of the car, and he specifically blamed accounts like yours for telling people his location. But you say you hadn't tracked him for like 24 hours before that. What happened with that?
So like the latest tweet was more than 24 hours before that, and people had found out where that event happened, and it was like a big distance from any airport. And it was a car, not a plane. I'm not tracking the car.
I can't imagine. It's hard for me to picture being in Elon Musk's situation where he does get a lot of threats and a lot of hate. Do you worry? Has that kept you up at all at night, that telling people where his plane is located and where they are when they get there could maybe hurt somebody that you clearly have a lot of respect for?
Mm-hmm. I mean, not really. I don't think it's that big of an issue with airports being secure and the teams he has, and people are watching out for him. He's got like teams before he or even arrives on a plane watching out for what's going on around where he arrives and stuff like that.
Okay, so I mean, he arguably is one of the most powerful people in the world, especially when it comes to tech. What do you want to do, Jack? I know you still, you're a programmer, you do a whole bunch of things, but what is it that you would love to see yourself doing maybe a few years from now?
Probably definitely some kind of software programming. Currently I'm still interested in doing something with aviation and aircraft, as I am right now. But I mean, there are a lot of interesting things, especially with AI being developed. I think something in the future I might want to do with AI and stuff like GPT, stuff like that. It's very interesting.
You're over at UCF. That is a big portion of our market, is all those kids going to school at UCF. How has that school, have they reached out to you? Now, it's kind of rare for one student at a college to garner as much worldwide attention as you have. Has your school said anything to you about this? Have they reached out in any way?
They checked on me back when the news was major and stuff was going on. They were just making sure I was doing well. But they don't have any problem with it. And I think they like probably some amount of, getting UCF's name out there.
Yeah, that's cool. Jack, what do your parents think of all this? Your dad is sort of the inspiration. I bet they were freaked out when your name was all over the world in every online magazine and newspaper.
I mean, definitely my mom had a little bit of concern, but my grandma was like, wow, she couldn't believe it. She was like, why? I don't know if I like this.
So grandma was unsure. You didn't pass the grandma test with this one. Yeah, I'm sure. I would have been a little wigged out. I'd have probably been sleeping outside your door, making sure no creeps if it were one of my kids. We were excited to talk to you, and I hope all of this has a positive impact on your life, and that going toe-to-toe and sword fighting with one of the world's most powerful people only makes you stronger in the end.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for watching Florida's Fourth Estate. You can download it from wherever you listen to podcasts or watch anytime on News 6 Plus.